And so I wanted to kind of feel the body in a way. So I want you to put, excuse me, find the front anterior iliac spine. Yeah, exactly. And then you can feel the side of your ilium. So you can even kind of hold and you can push into it. We can feel our ilium. Then in the back, which is harder to see on here because there's a lot of nerves. There we go. Perfect. A lot of nerves and fascia is the sacrum. So if you follow around, you'll feel at the bottom of the ilium, okay, is one sit bone, and then your sacrum, which is that downward pointing triangle at the end of your sacrum, which is hard to feel, is your tailbone. Okay? And then you have your other ilium right on the other side. Yay, perfect. That's great. Hello, Chris. So, and then I want you to also look at, and I'll come a little bit closer. So we were just feeling ilium, sacrum, and ilium on each side. Pubic bone, okay, in front of body. Now, I want you to look at, and I'll go really close so you can see it, and feel this muscle deep in the body, which is called your psoas. So we're going to locate this bone called the greater trochanter bone on our body. So top of hip, okay, then you're going to travel the hand down through the side, and I feel mine's almost a hand width distance down. You can feel a bone right here. Yes. Okay, so that's your greater trochanter bone. And if you go just across, that's the area where you can feel is your hip flexor. And this psoas muscle attaches on the inside of your femur bone. It runs inside of your pelvis and attaches onto your lower back. So if you touch your lower back, if you find your lowest rib, this is, and follow it along, this is around T12 and the start of the lumbar, so L1. And so the psoas muscle attaches on to your vertebra of the lower spine, goes through the pelvis, crosses over in front, and attaches on the inside of your femur. It's an amazing muscle. It's really long, right? And so lower end of the psoas, when I talk about lower end, it's going to be on the low end, okay, connecting more on the femur, and then the higher end, which is going to be on your rib cage, the lower lumbar, the upper lumbar, all through, and the end of T12. So we're going to release and strengthen through lower back and also get in touch with this muscle today. So as we're standing and you've taken whatever you want for a foot rolling, and we take a few deep breaths in the nose, out the mouth. And breathing in the nose, out the mouth. One more time, out the mouth. Now I want you to just notice how your feet stand on the floor. So do you have a little bit more weight on the outer edge of your feet? Do you tend to drop a little bit more weight on the inner edge of your feet? Do you notice that your inner arches are lifted, or do they kind of slack by what we would call pronating in? So I want you to try to just look at what your ankle is doing. Your ankle should be in alignment with our foot. So we're not kind of rolling in. So you can imagine that you're picking the mat up a little bit. That makes a really big difference on your feet. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that feeling of picking up the mat Now we're going to root one foot down. We're going to lift the other leg just very softly. Now, the lower part of the psoas, we're going to feel as we lift the leg. I want you to notice top of the hips that when the leg lifts, a little bit of shifting over onto the opposite foot, that this hip does not hike up. So you are lifting leg, yeah, without lifting the hip up. So if the hip lifts, that means that there's a tightness or a chronic holding possibly in the lower part of the psoas. Yeah, it's a tricky one, right? Yeah. So just kind of wait for it. See if you can lift. It might be that S breath that we used, that and you feel the lifting of the lower belly as you press the foot down. It might be the SH breath of the gathering of the ribs, or and with a feeling of pulling a string out the top of the head. And it might be a touch down and up, touch down and up. Maybe you can kick. Maybe you want to do a few ankle circles or hip movements. Toes can be on the floor as well. And then we're going to roll the foot. So just kind of feel if you notice your hip hiking up, just think, and this is an internal sensation of just think, oh, can I lengthen here? Because sometimes we have a little bit of holding. And I know my right psoas and my left psoas, they do not act the same. My right psoas is nice and juicy and fluid and hydrated and lengthened. My left psoas is contracted and tightened, right? So you might have one psoas that affects the hip and the pelvis that works a little bit different. This muscle as well sometimes can hold in a lot of contraction because what its job is to flex the hip, right? So it can hold sometimes a contracted state if we sit a lot. It sometimes can hold a little bit of fear and stress. Okay, so take your time. You don't have to stay on one foot for too long. I know today my body doesn't want me to foot roll for too long on one foot. Notice you need that S breath, that lifting of the pelvis, that SH breath. Shh. Try to feel that the hips stay level. Huh? There you go. That's different, Joni, right? Yeah. Hmm. See how when you bring your leg back, I'm just going to show you, when you do this, your hip lifts. Yeah. So maybe slow it down a little bit. There. Just go a little bit slower, right? Because tendency would be want to go fast. But because we're learning a new tool in body to really see how it's going, just like take it back like a couple notches. Yeah. And use the desk. Yeah, for sure. Uh-huh. Yeah. Good. And notice where your foot is rooting when you're standing there, right? Do you feel how your right foot, where it's needing to press into the floor to lift that left leg? Yeah. And that gives you some good insight there. Okay, so keep rolling the other foot. And then whenever you're done, just allow space to maybe revisit one foot or pause on the dowel or the ball, stand on it. You might put the ball under the front part of the foot just to open up the front. Mhm. And so we were chatting a little bit, I'm gonna tuck in my shirt, last week about when we did that grabbing onto the foot. We were talking a little bit about opening, right? This area. And so it was elongating the front of the psoas. So we're going to focus on that again today, but let's put our ball and our dowel off to the side and let's just go into a little side stretching first before we do any more lengthening on front body. So just feel feet, tug on the mat if you want to feel like you're picking up the mat. Hey, reach one arm up. Maybe it's fully extended and you grab hold of the wrist with the opposite hand, or the hand touches the shoulder and you lean over. Good. Mhm. Take a moment to be there. You might go and do a little back bend or a little forward bend. You might hover on one side for a moment and then move over to the other side. So when you go to the opposite side, the other hand is grabbing hold of the wrist. Good. Yeah, doesn't that feel good? Okay, I'm just gonna lock the door, and if Rachel does appear, I can open it, but I just want to create our container for us. And we're gonna do a little bit more of our spinal waves on the floor, but do check in if hands behind skull and that opening up through front of body wants to come in, and there's a little bit of a leaning as you press your hands into the skull, skull into the hands. It's going to release the neck. Breathe there for a moment. Let the front of the body open. Do you feel maybe it's one more breath, maybe it's two more breaths, and then you slowly let that soften through the elbows and then release the hands. Just give a little shake out to arms and legs. Okay, let's release back body now. So we're going to go into our forward fold. I'm just turning sideways for visual, but feet are roughly hip width apart. We're going to inhale, exhale. Just take a moment to feel the feet. So it might be an exhale out the mouth. It might be a pursed lip breath where we purse the lips, blow the breath out through a pursed lip. Inhale as you exhale, keeping the toes rooted. The pelvis starts to reach back. You're going to feel your sit bones widen. And then allow the torso to come forward in line with the pelvis, and then shift your weight when you're in that right angle. So you feel an evenness of weight between toes and heels. Arms are dangling. You might pull the ball of the shoulder up into the socket if you feel any strain in the shoulder or discomfort. Sometimes the fascia ligamentous structure around the shoulder can be a little bit sensitive or pulled, or if we have an injury. And then you're going to circle the arms. Let's do an SH breath as we inhale, exhale. Feel that transverse abdominis wrap from back body to the front and then pull in and up a little bit. So we feel, let's do that a couple times. Inhale, exhale, SH breath. And as you pull in and up, reach out through the top of the head and back through the pelvis. Good. Let the fingers wiggle a little bit too. Yeah, good. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can bend the knees. Option one, forearms on the thighs. Okay, option two, pressing down through the heels, reaching your sit bones up towards the ceiling, and that's going to straighten your leg. And then the torso will fold down. So whenever we do inversions, it signals the blood pressure. These little receptors in the heart and the side of the neck, they're called our baroreceptors.
signals them that the pressure is increasing. So we get, when we come out of this, a slow kind of decrease of blood pressure, and we feel a little bit calmer. So inversions are nice to help calm us down, center the mind. And we are going to bend the knees and come into a squat. So you can do that with sitting the pelvis down. And we do this because we want to engage the leg muscles, and that's going to help to move the blood back up to the heart. So option here is arms up, slight angle, shoulders relaxed, or hands on the legs and the hips. Breathing here. And feel your toes and your heels. Now push the floor away to stand up. Maybe you reach the arms up. You release them down. Good. Do a little swinging twist. Ah, good. We're going to slow it down. Okay, now we're going to go into releasing the top of the foot and doing a little bit of hip work and a little bit of psoas work. And so some of you I know like to stand on the block for this one. You have a choice, chip phone or a little bit higher. And Kim, I want you to use the top of the desk behind you for a little support for yourself. And you're going to put the block, just going to move my mat away. The block is about a half a foot away from whatever you're using for support. And we're first just going to stand on the block. And now we've done this one. Some of you have done this one many times, and some of you, this is new. But want you to feel as you're standing here, we're going to take a little bit more awareness of noticing as that one leg, left foot might be standing on the block, right leg might be dangling, that you keep your hips level. Yeah. So I know. So especially of both legs, but especially the leg that's dangling. Okay. And then just feel a little bit more of a release through the lower psoas. And now I want you to swing it less. So I just want you to keep the hips level and just very gently, like you're only moving at max a foot, but I want you to focus on the lower end of the psoas, lengthening, and just really feel the hang of the leg because we're doing this more in an intentional way. So if you need, yeah, do you have a thicker block? Yeah, Kim, that might be better, right? Yeah. So very little movement, but just really feel that the psoas is lengthening. It does take a lot more balance, right? Yeah, the harder block is easier to balance on. Yeah. Okay, then you're going to switch, and I want you to come to the other side. So take your time to investigate what you're doing in the pelvis, keeping it level. Yeah, try not to let that right hip lift up if you can, Kim. There it is. So just let the leg hang before you start to swing. Just let the psoas, specifically the lower part of the psoas, release, keeping the hips level. Then once you've got a release and a hang, just slowly let it swing. Yeah, I would do grounding down. Yeah, yeah. So I would ground down to find more balance. Okay, then you're going to step off. You're going to take a moment. Now, you're just going to leave the block there. You might still use the wall, and you're just going to step. You can be standing on right foot. You're just going to step the left foot back. So let's just release the top of the foot and the psoas once again. So you might find if it's too much strain on the toes, bend the knees a little bit more. Allow the weight to shift off toes onto the top of the foot. Good. If you need to come out at times, come out, do a few circles, do a little shake out of the leg. Now, as you feel that release, I want you to notice through the front of the left thigh, allow the pelvis to shift forward a little bit and lift up through the left psoas. You'll be lengthening through the right, but we're focusing on left. So let this lengthen, let this open. And maybe you even feel the left arm comes up, and that's going to lengthen the left side of the upper psoas. Yes. Take another breath or two. Keep feeling this lower psoas opening. And then we're come out, shake it out. Then you're going to do other side. Just going a little bit slower, a little bit more intentional today. Pressing down. Now take a moment to wait how you feel top of the foot, shin, thigh, hip flexor. Open up at the crease of the hip. Lift up out of the pelvis. Maybe the right arm comes up, maybe it doesn't. When you bring the arm up, you're releasing the upper part of the psoas, which is attaching onto the lumbar spine. Yeah, good. Watch you're not allowing the ribs to pull away. So maybe for some of you, you need an SH breath here. The ribs should be gathering in and lowering down. Yeah. Okay, take it out, shake it out. Now you're going to go back up onto the block. So standing with left foot, take a moment to check in. I'm going to move my block a little bit more away. Yeah. Check in that your hips are level again and that you just let that right leg, the lower psoas, releasing. You might even feel a tiny bit of movement coming in. Okay, then you're going to allow the leg. Now, I want you to go half the distance out to the side than what you normally do. You're going to allow the leg to just lift out to the side. Now, notice what's happening to your pelvis. Do you really lean over to the side? Can you keep your left foot rooted, lifting up out the top of the head? Try to keep the body nice and strong. You're just going to go out to the side a couple times. Yes. And then you're going to go. So if we think of a clock, that was 3 o'clock. Then we're going to go back and out 4 to 5 o'clock. So the leg goes back, but it goes out and back. Now you're going to feel both legs working here. Okay, come off, switch sides. Okay, going a little bit slower here so that we're noticing what's happening. So take time, hips level. Keeping hips level, just take a moment to let the lower psoas specifically lengthen. If you want to do a little movement, you can of just swinging it. It's very little though. Find the integrity of pressing the right foot down into the block. And then you might decide when you're ready to lift the left leg out to the side so it's a 9 o'clock. Yes, strengthening outer hip here. Now try not to hike that left hip up as you do it. I have to put my hand on my left hip because I always want to hike it up on this side. So I'm just keeping my hand there to keep my hip level. And then I can really feel my TFL. Yeah, I do too. I have to physically keep it down. And I can really feel this muscle, which is the tensor fasciae latae muscle on the top, which is the muscle we're targeting. And then you're going to go back and out to the side. So on a clock, it's 7, 8 o'clock. So watch. Hey, watch the hip. You can feel it target the glute muscles a little bit more. We're looking at glute medius. And then you're going to come out. You're going to move the block out to the side. Hey, we're going to do a few hip circles. Hey, did that change the feeling in the pelvis a little bit? Yeah? Yes? No? Unsure? Unsure? Yeah? Yeah. Did some of us notice how many times we lifted the hip up? I could. Yeah. So you're going to circle. You can do a figure eight, whatever you choose. Just choose one direction to go in. Just bringing a little fluidity now. Nice. And then you're going to switch and you're going to go the other way. So if you're circling, you're going to circle the other direction. Okay. And then we're going to find, once you've done both hips, you're going to find the top of your mat and we're going to go to the floor. So we're going to stand at the top of our mat. And we're going to take a moment just to notice the feeling in our body now. Arms can be by your side. Standing evenly on toes and heels. Some of us need to imagine that we're tugging on the mat to lift the inner arches. Just feel where the hip flexors are, the lower part of the psoas. Notice your rib cage. Hands come up to heart, palm to palm. Inhale as you exhale, lower the arms down. Inhale, press down through the feet as the arms float up. Try not to change your rib cage. Exhale, fold forward so the weight shifts back on the heels a little bit more. You're going to come down as little or as much as you want. Release your head. Keep the weight even from heels to toes. Reach up through the back of the hamstrings, up through the sit bones towards the ceiling as you press down through the feet. This is going to lengthen the legs. And then you're going to bend the knees. Hands are going to come down in front of the feet, nice and wide, width of the mat. And you're going to take a big step back, flatten the palms. Another big step back. You're going to go into an inverted V. Yeah, there you go. Push the floor away. And then some of you are going to drop right down onto your hands and knees. Yeah, you've got it, Kim. Okay, and then check in. If you're in downward dog, you might walk it out. Some of you that are in child's pose, you might allow the pelvis to sink back. Only coming to as far as you want. If arms feel more comfortable just staying forward, some of you might decide, oh, I just want to allow my arms to go off to the side. You feel a little bit different release through side body. Check in if your head is hovering off the floor. Just check in. Are you holding the head in any way? Just let it go. It'll hang off the support of the spine. So that's the biotensegrity of the body, is working the body as a whole system. And then you're going to go to the other side. As we feel our foundation secure, then the rest of the body can hang off that stable foundation. And then you're going to come into center once you're done. Okay, so we're going to come up either onto hands and knees or elbows and knees. So if being on hands and knees feels uncomfortable for your wrists, then you do not go there. Okay, if you are on hands, hands are right underneath the shoulders. If it feels better to come down onto elbows, then you're going to come down onto elbows. Now we're going to start to go into bird dog, but I want you to watch. So we want to be in a flat back. So sometimes our ribs kind of release towards the floor in this one and our back over arches. So I want you to do an SH breath. Shh. Pull the rib cage in and down. Try to get a flat back. So you might need to do that one more time. Okay, now you're going to press your right foot, either top of the foot stays on the mat, and you can do top of the foot and right ankle into the floor, or some of you might want to tuck your toes on. Now, just notice, does right knee need any support? If it does, you can offer it. Now, you're going to start to lengthen the left leg back. You're lengthening psoas, but you're not changing anything through the back. And then the toes are going to tuck under. And I want you just to feel that reaching back through the heel, but also lengthen your psoas of the left leg back. Good. Keep a flat back. Now we'll bring it in. Left leg, knee, shin, ankle is pushing into the floor or the toes are tucked under as you start to lengthen the right leg. Now, don't change the pelvis, don't change the torso. And the toes tuck under, you reach back through the heel, you lengthen the right side. You might do an SH breath. Reach a little bit of energy out the top of your head forward as the gaze is down to the mat. Good. Now you're going to slide that right leg in. Support right leg. Inhale, exhale as you push the right leg into the floor, shin foot, the left leg lengthens. Good. Now you're going to feel the heel reach back, the psoas lengthen on the left side. You're not lifting the left hip at all to slowly start to lengthen back through the psoas, you lengthen back through the leg and let the leg of the left leg float up a little bit. But you're not changing the back. So in no way do you arch or lift a hip. Good. Breathe here. And you're going to lower that left leg down, draw it back. And then we're just going to try that same thing on the right side. So pressing right foot down, either top of the foot or toes tucked under, left leg presses down, right leg lengthens. Okay, take a moment just to lengthen the psoas, reach through the heel. And then as you press down through left side, that right leg starts to float up, but nothing changes. The right hip does not lift, the lower back does not arch. Breathing here, keep reaching the whole leg back and then lower back down. Bring it in, widen the knees a little bit more, sink back into child's pose for a moment. One more breath. Then we're going to roll off onto one hip. Come and sit for a moment. And we've all grabbed a dowel. We haven't tapped back body in a while. Yeah, so let's do a little bit of back body tapping. So you can sit however you want. It might be cross-legged, it might be straight leg, but be a little bit more mindful that you're pressing down through pelvis if you're going to be straight leg, back of the thighs, and the back of the calves. I'm just going to turn around so you can see where we're tapping. And we're going to start to tap across the shoulder blades. So we never tap directly on the vertebra. So you can go across the shoulder blades. You can tap on the top of the shoulder, getting a little bit more into the trapezius muscle. So whenever we do tapping, we're connecting into the mechanoreceptors. And so the fascia research always says in the mechanoreceptors, this is helping us feel more embodied. So proprioception. So we're aware of being anchored in our body. And we're also aware we can feel whatever arm we're using to hold the dowel. We can notice tapping the body. Okay, then I want you to tap lower back. So you're going to go and tap through the rib cage, all through the lower back. So not on the spine, but down through the thoracolumbar fascia. And so I've mentioned this before in research, the thoracolumbar fascia, when it's dehydrated and tight, okay, and there's a stuckness, it can lead to back pain. I also feel it can lead to hip pain. So you're just going to take some time to tap that. Now, you also have the capability of doing a little bit of plowing. So some of you might feel as you grab the dowel that you want to put some pressure. We always, when we plow, move that pressure sustained up towards the heart because we're working with the lymphatic system. But if you feel there's an area where you want to just maintain the pressure and go a little bit of up and down, you can. So in the very back, closest to the skin, we have the skin, but then right underneath the skin, we have what is called the quadratus laborum muscle. Then under that, we have the psoas. So as we're tapping here and massaging, maybe combing, we can notice, I feel a little bit more aware of the right side of our body. So just take a moment to pause, breathe, feel right side to left side. It also helps to tap into the receptors communicating with the nervous system. So then I want you to tap the other side. So if you're following me, we're doing left side now. So I'm starting with top of the shoulders because that's where I was drawn to, but you go maybe to the shoulder blade if that's what you need first. Okay, then take your time to tap through the lower back. And then feel, do you want to do any sort of massaging myofascial release here? So that might be up and down. That's called combing when you sustain the pressure in a small area up and down. If you plow, you're going to do sustained pressure, and we're moving towards the heart. So it is going to be sustained pressure moving upward in long strides. So when we hike one hip up, because maybe we have tightness in the lower psoas, we're going to also feel quite a lot of tightness in the QL. So that's the muscle that attaches to the top of the hip and the lower ribs. It's a vertical, just like the psoas. And when it gets overworked, we can feel that it needs to be lengthened. So what we're doing right now is lengthening it. Okay, so just take your time to feel, aha, yeah, something is shifting for you. Yeah. So once you're done, we're all going to be at different levels. I want you to then lie down. So we're being a little bit more embodied and intentional in practice today. Okay, so knees can be bent, feet can be flat on the floor. Check in if your head in any way needs some support. Some of you might grab a chip foam block. Mine is yellow, but yours has a black cover on it, unless you grabbed a yellow one like me. Some of you might find that pops behind the head. And you might let the legs wiper a little bit from right to left. You might feel, I want to draw the legs up into the chest and either hold the shins or the back of the thighs and just let that lower back. It's almost like in the fascia terms, there's a melting into the floor. Let your breath breathe through you, maybe a few breaths out the mouth. As we're working the nervous system a little bit more today as well. Okay, now we're just going to place the feet on the floor for a moment whenever you're done. So we're going to do a little toning to the psoas now. So you're going to keep right foot on the floor. And when we lift that left leg up, I want you to notice, just as we did in standing, that you're not hiking the left hip up in any way. So your hips are staying parallel on the floor. Right foot has a little bit of leaning. Both sides of the pelvis lean back into the mat without hiking up your left leg. You're going to bring and fold at your hip crease the left thigh towards the body. Knee is bent. So, whatever feels more comfortable, is it holding the back of the thigh or is it interlacing fingers over the shin? Now, we're going to do an isometric release and pressure to tone the psoas. So, what you're going to do is you're going to allow your hands to push into the leg, and your leg is going to lean up into your hands. You can just start to do that, and you're going to breathe as you hold this. You're going to keep sustained pressure. Hands pulling down on the leg, not the knee, so it's below the knee. And then the shin leg pushing up into the hands. Yes, there it is. And then let it go, relax. Wow. Okay, check in with the left hip. It's not lifting. We're going to do that one more time. So we're going to pull the hands down onto the leg, lift and press the leg up into the hands. Breathe as you hold this. Some of you may feel your left side of your lower back press and release into the floor a little bit more, and then let it go, and then release the left foot down. And pause for a few breaths. Now we're gonna, with left foot pressing into the floor, both hips stay equally leaning. Try not to hike up your right hip as you lift your right leg up, folding at the hip crease, right thigh towards body. Now, if the hip did lift up, just bring it back down so your hips are level. Hand interlacing over shin or the back of the thigh. Now you're going to lean the leg up into the hand. Hand leans back into the leg. Hold that leaning equally as you feel the back release into the floor. Breathe in and out. Relax your face. Soften that isometric contraction. And then we're going to do it one more time. So feel left foot gently press into the floor. It's like you're going to push the mat away or push the floor away. You're going to feel a little contraction, not too much, maybe only 30 to 40% effort. You're going to feel the hips equal, leg and hand leaning into each other on right side. Good, just watching over you. You're going to feel this toning the psoas. Maybe the lower back on the right side is releasing into the floor. You might start to feel an awareness, the whole length of evenness coming in through pelvis and lower back. And then you let it go. And then you're going to release your leg down. Good. Find your feet hip width apart. And notice where your feet just tend to land. Just let them land there. Hands can be on your belly. You can touch the hip creases on the lower part of the psoas. You can have arms out to the side, palms up. I just want you to allow your eyes to soften. They can stay open, or some of you will let them close for a moment. And we're just going to drop inside of our body just a little bit more, moving into our internal space. And some of you know we call this interoception, this inner felt sense of body. Feel how both hips are releasing into the floor. Notice if both hips are level. Have you identified that maybe one psoas tends to hold a little bit more than the other? Let your attention come to the side that maybe you feel is a little bit more held. And that might be the side where you have more lower back pain or hip pain. And just allow the psoas to lengthen. And sometimes that might even be to help it lengthen that you just allow the hands to release the pelvis down or very softly release over the hip crease. Another option is you can take your hands on the thighs, palms of the hands, and just take the top of the thighs and you're just kind of lengthening them. And I'm pushing the thighs and the femurs away from me. And that's just lengthening the lower part of the psoas. The shoulders will come up a little bit if you want to try it. And then you let go. Just take a moment to breathe. Feel belly expanding as you receive the breath. Inhale, ribs may widen. As you exhale, ribs gather, belly deflates. Allow body to become heavy into the floor. As you check into the lower back, that's where the upper part of the psoas is. Just feeling is one side of the lower back releasing into the floor, just like the other side. A few more rounds of breath here. And we're going to do our tapping in a little bit, we're going to go up now and we're going to do a little work with just releasing the legs in the air. So you're going to keep hips level. You're going to bring right thigh towards you, left thigh towards you. You're going to take a block or your inflated ball and put it in between the legs. And you're going to squeeze it. And then I want you to feel as you squeeze it, your lower back start to press into the floor and the ribs above it press into the floor as well. And you'll feel your lower belly draw in and up. And then slowly just start to let your legs lengthen up. They don't have to fully lengthen, but keep pressing down into the floor. Let your pelvis stay heavy. So the pelvis is pressing down. We're not shifting the hips at all. Okay, reach the arms up into the air, fingers wiggle. Now, as you keep squeezing the ball or the block, you're just going to move your arms a little bit overhead and the legs down. Now, try not to let your lower back or the lower ribs lift off the floor. So only go down as far as you can that you can keep connected. Now, I want you to reach out through your legs, lengthen the lower part of your psoas, and reach up through your arms. And then bring the arms back together, SH breath. Now you're going to inhale. As you exhale, release arms overhead, legs down. Try not to arch your lower back away from the floor. Press down into the floor. Squeeze the block. And then inhale. And as you exhale, pull the arms and the legs together by your SH breath as you bring your legs together. Yes. Do it two more times. Try to keep both hips level as you inhale. Arms and legs go overhead like lowers. And then exhale. So lower belly draws in, the transverse gathers, and that's what's floating arms and legs back together. So see if you can have the core assist you in bringing arms and legs back. Good, last one. Okay, then you're going to take the block out of the way, put it off to the side, keep the back floating and pressing into the floor, and you're going to do scissors now. Okay, so little reaching up through the heels, but a pressing back of the pelvis into the floor to keep that lower part of the psoas long. And then you're going to move right arm, right leg towards the body. Left arm, left leg is going to lower down. Only go as far as you can that you can maintain. Now, keep a reaching out, but a drawing in, and then you're going to switch. Left arm, left leg overhead, right arm, right leg lowers down. Shifting back and forth. Try not to change. Torso, the lower back, the hips stay level. Go slow today. More control. You're going to be working the inner core quite a bit. 1 to 2 more each side. And then pause, shake it out in the air. Lower the arms and legs down to the floor. Now we're going to widen the feet more so that their outer edge of the feet are almost touching the width of the mat. Some of you might feel comfortable to go that wide. And we're just going to release the top of the thighs now, the psoas. So what you're going to do is inhale, exhale. As your legs shift over to the left, your right hip is going to come off the floor. And you're going to go to the left, arms are by your side, palms up. And then I want you to lengthen and reach out through both of your thighs so you feel a release through the lower part of your hip flexor, the psoas. Especially on your right leg, your right big toe and right inner heel might even press a little bit in the floor. Yeah, so legs are going to go to the side. There you go, Kim. And right foot, right big toe, right inner heel leans a little bit into the floor. Lengthen through your left leg. Open at your hip crease. Head may follow the legs, and then you're going to release the pressing. Roll the pelvis back on the floor. The legs will follow. And then we're going to go to the other side. Inhale, exhale. Legs are going to move to the right. Head may follow. Press the left big toe, left inner heel into the floor. Let that left leg lengthen, the left lower psoas lengthen. You can even feel a little bit through the upper psoas as well. Breathe here as you hold. and release. You start to release the pressing of the left foot into the floor. Let the pelvis roll back, legs will follow. Good. Take a moment to be here. Okay, so we're going to go into our twist. So the core twist. So you're going to put the block in between the thighs or the big inflated purple ball or blue ball, depending on what you grabbed. I just got the block beside me, so I'm just using the block today. Hey, you're going to squeeze that block or the ball, and you're going to allow the legs, the thighs to come up towards the body without feeling that the hips are shifting in any way. So you're still keeping them level. The thighs are coming as close to you as you can. You're squeezing the ball or the block, and the feet are the same distance as your knees and your shins. So if you have that block or ball in between, you want to keep your feet separated as well. Arms can be on the floor if you just want to keep the arms there, or you can reach the arms up like you're holding a big beach ball in your hand. Hey, you're going to bring the legs to the left side as you exhale a little bit up. So you're doing a little U shape, like you're pulling up on the side. Hey, pause there as you squeeze the ball or the block. Keep reaching and lengthening out through your sit bones. And then you're going to bring arms and legs back into center. Inhale. As you exhale, maybe an SH breath as you go to the side. Keep lengthening. Shh. Pull the legs up on the side. Yeah. See if you can keep your feet apart. Inhale, exhale over to the other side. Good. I'm just going to be off my mat for a moment. Anytime you want to bring, good, good, good. That's more challenging for you to keep the feet. And I'm going to put a block in between. I want you to squeeze that. Yeah. Do you see how that keeps your alignment for you? Yeah. And you can go back and forth. So all I've done is I just put a block, and that might be a tool that you use, right? If you're at home, you can use cushions from a pillow, right? Yeah, and you're just going to go from side to side. If you do want to extend the legs, extend them, but notice what's happening. Can you lengthen and release that hip? Well, there it is. Feel that length for you? Yeah. And just go from side to side. hmm Okay, now look at your feet. Look at what they're doing. Yeah, try the ball. And you take a pause whenever you're ready. Look at your feet. Are they parallel? Okay, try to get them parallel. Yeah, I think you can. So notice what your feet are doing. Some of you, when you're extending the legs in the air, so just pause for a moment. Hey, as you're extending the legs in your air, I don't even know if I can do it, but some, yeah, right? The feet are going out, or one leg is longer and one leg is shorter. So you need to be able to feel that as you go from side to side, see how my leg difference never changes. Watch how weak this hip gets if I just let it go, right? But I'm really connecting and I'm reaching through to keep an evenness of my feet. Okay, so I just want you to try it one more time. Just go from one more time to each side and just see, can you reach? Especially if you go to the left, you need to reach a little bit more through your right leg. There you go, inner heel as well on your right leg. Good. Now you take some, yeah, the block. Yes. Yeah, take the block again. Yeah, in between the feet. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So we'll keep bringing in the block then. A little bit more connected, right? Yeah. Okay, so if you do want to try the block in between feet as well, that might help. Yeah, and let's there. That was great, Shona. hmm Yeah, and so this little hook of the pinky needs to come around. There it is. I know it is having a hard time because it's wanting to connect. It needs to connect to this outside. Yeah. Okay. So we feeling a little bit different in body? Okay, good. So let's use the last part of class to release a few things. So some of you have a pink ball, some of you have a squash ball. Whichever one you have, I prefer not the spiky balls because they sometimes create a little bit of disturbance in all of the nice nourishing that we've done. We're also going to use a bolster if you need it. Okay, so you're gonna have support under your head, which is really helpful for this one. So some of us like to use the inflated slow-mo ball. Some of us like to use a thicker block or a thinner block. I like the inflated slow-mo ball. We're gonna be on left side, and you're gonna take the bolster up, and you're gonna support your right knee, shin, foot on the bolster. Some of you know this one. We're going to release the whole outside of your leg. So we're going to do two things here of releasing through. So as your knee and foot is on the bolster, you're going to take your ball in your right hand and you're going to massage the top of your hip. Yes. So remember where that greater trochanter bone was. So you can feel it, bless you, on the side of the hip. You can roll around that greater trochanter bone. You can roll above it. That's the tensor fasciae latae muscle. That's the one that we strengthened when we were standing on the block. You can roll through the back of the glutes if you want. Yeah. And you can go down the leg. So that's your iliotibial band. So just take time to investigate here. Remember, we're not doing too much pressure. So the research shares with us in fascia that we want to be backing off because the fascia has 250 million neural receptors. It is the richest sensory organ. So it is constantly sensing and feeling. So as you approach body, you want to approach body with softness. And then slowly the fascia will start to unwind, release holding. Okay? And you'll feel that the fascia will let you in. And it'll, when you start to feel the unfolding, then you'll feel that the ball might want to go a little bit deeper, but don't force it. If the body's been holding for a period of time, if you go in too hard or too strong, the body will brace against you and contract more. So you want to approach yourself with softness and kindness. If you want to go back into the hamstring at all, feel free. You can go up and down the side of the thigh. You can go from front of the thigh across the side, which is your iliotibial band, to the back of the thigh. That's called cross fibering, especially these long vertical muscles, fascia that we have on the side of the leg here. They respond really well to that up and down, but also what is called a cross fibering. And that's going from front of the thigh across to the back. And what it does is it disrupts the holding patterns and it allows the fascia to rearrange. Good. We're also releasing hand, wrist as well. Good. We're just going to take your time on that side. How's this feeling on that leg? Okay. So this is the one that I wanted to bring in for you, specifically to release some of that. I'm holding to release some of the tingling that you're experiencing. Yeah, right. Yeah. So what you can do every 2 to 3 days is massage it out. Okay. Yeah. And this can be done lying in bed. Okay. pillow supporting you, pillow supporting the head, right? You can use a tennis ball. We also sell the pink balls if you want to get one. Yeah, and really helpful, right? For releasing and just especially right around where you're rolling the greater trachea, right? That's a lot of, where a lot of the cuts happens is where we focus today in our practice, right? Yeah, so you're gonna feel shifting starting to happen there, okay? Yeah, and we'll keep kind of bringing this in, but this one especially, we just wanted you to feel, right? So after we had a surgery like that, the fascia needs to be hydrated. We can stretch it, we can strengthen it all we want, but if we don't release the fascia and rehydrate it, we're still going to feel a lot of sensation. And because all the nerves are passing through the fascia, when the fascia gets tight, right, all the nerves start to get compressed. Okay? Yeah. Okay. So that kind of makes sense. And then you kind of notice, oh, I noticed what happened. When you're ready, you're just going to roll onto your back and you're just going to lie there for a moment. So knees can be bent, legs can be extended. And I just want you to feel right side of the body to left side of the body. Take a few breaths there. You're starting to feel more intense, longer. Yes, that's the word. Exactly. Ah, something is shifting in you as well, Candace. Yeah, keep forgetting. That's okay. So now we're going to roll, right? So we were on the left side. So now you're going to roll on right side. That means we're releasing left leg. So left knee, shin, and foot. If you can, support the whole lower leg. It does help when we support the whole lower leg. Yeah, good. There you go. And that right leg can be extended as the left leg moves in front with the bolster in front of that right leg. Yeah. Breathing here. So we did a very focused class today. Now notice as you're here, do you feel a little congestion of your hip lifting up? You might notice that hip. If you can, lengthen it down. Breathe as you go. Might be in the nose and out the mouth at times. Letting this whole side of the leg to feel the myofascial release. Sometimes we feel different levels of our nervous system going into regulation, especially when we've held the psoas for a while or we have a holding pattern that's quite strong on one side of the psoas. We might feel that we're easier to go into a stress response because the psoas has an influence on holding stress in the body, holding fear in the body, holding tension, or that little bit of fight or flight. So when something happens and disrupts what we feel is our equilibrium, we can go from feeling what we sense as calm to quite elevated quite quickly. So what we're doing is we're inviting a new way of being into body and mind. Just slowing it down just a little bit today to get in some foundational pieces. Listening, backing off, feeling where the side is holding might be different from the other side. Sometimes when we've had an injury on one side or a surgery on one side, the other side compensates by picking up a little bit more slack and overworking. So you might even notice on this side some different places where the body is folding. And you take your time to release, massage. No rush here. Whenever this side is complete, you'll once again just roll onto your back. Okay? Take your time, still have some space here. And just lengthen out, so either with straight legs or bent knees, and just take a moment to notice how you feel from when you first arrived in class. And then see, is there any movement that you want to go back to or review that might be drawing the knees into the chest? You might feel ready, as we are at the end of the class, to support the body. So some of you might want to lie flat on the bodies. Okay, no support. Some of you might want to take the bolster and place it under a little bit more the top of the thighs and behind the knee. And you'll really feel a nice lengthening coming in to the lower back, to the pelvis, widening to the shoulders. You can have a little bit of support behind the head. If you want to have your knees bent, you can put the bolster underneath the legs in a bent knee. And I know some of you like to go into a little bit of an elevation. So as the knees are bent, you press the feet into the floor. And some of you might put the bolster under the pelvis. Another way to release psoas is while on the bolster, you might feel, and we'll bring this in a little bit more next week, a little bit more height. Sometimes one leg or both legs want to lengthen or lengthen in the air. So your choice, if I did not share something and your body wanted to go into something else, you always follow it. Take a deep breath. Yeah, in nose and out mouth. Maybe a sigh, sound, a pursed lip breath. Really let yourself be held as we rest here for a few more minutes. Now, as you're resting here, notice what you learned about yourself today. And whenever we offer this inquiry, whether we're noticing our body moving in space, what we feel, or the inner felt sense of the body, we do that with a compassionate inquiry. So when we notice something, hey, we kind of just take a moment to be kind to body as we notice it. Because when we have a pattern, we're going to catch ourselves moving back into this pattern that we felt comfortable in. And so once you notice it and you become aware of something, every time you catch yourself in that awareness, you can just gently bring yourself to where you want the body to land. A new way of being. Piece of poetry that I'm sharing today is by a poet called Carson Kelber. Let the trees teach you that growth requires patience. Let the wind teach you that you can change direction and speed as you desire. Let the flowers teach you that beautiful things do not bloom all year long. Let the ocean teach you that you can be both calm and chaos, gentle and strong. Let the clouds teach you that when things get too heavy, it is time to release. Let the stars teach you that darkness is needed to see the light. And let the sun teach you that no matter how long you've been hidden, you will always rise again. No matter how long you've been hidden, you will always rise again. I'm going to be here for another minute. For those of you that have had your legs in the air, take another breath or two there, and just slowly, when you're ready, let the knees bend and let the feet release onto the floor. And just take a breath or two to anchor the feet onto the floor. And then when you're ready, root the feet and lift the pelvis and remove that bolster. And those of you that have the bolster underneath the legs and the knees, you can keep it there. And you can just take a moment to stretch and lengthen and yawn. You might create a little bit of tension in the body and then exhale, release. If that felt really good, you might do it again. Create a little bit of tension and release. Ah, and then the bolster can release. And if you have discomfort on one side of the body, or you know you have a pattern of always rolling to one side, I want you to roll to the other side. And just disrupt what you normally do. Take that time to be on other side for a breath or two. Whatever your top arm and hand is, you're going to press that into the floor. Lift up through the inner body as you come up to seated. And have legs straight. I'm just turning to the side for a moment because you can take the hand and sweep the flesh up and over the buttocks just to find a little bit more rooting to the sit bones. Legs can be straight as we root pelvis, back of the thighs, calves into the floor. And you'll feel that you can feel a little bit of reaching out your heels, and sometimes the heels even levitate. And you just want to check in. Do I have an equal leaning through right heel and left heel, outer and inner? Lifting down, arms out to the side, palms forward as we inhale through nose, exhale through mouth. Just down through the pelvis, the legs as you inhale, sweep the arms up. Head may follow the arms, palms touch as you exhale. This is receiving as you draw a line in front of face, throat, heart, upper belly, lower belly, pelvis. Root down, inhale, sweep the arms up. And just receive nourishment today. One more time as we reach the arms up. And pause the hands at heart center. Let your thumbs rest around your sternum. Lift your sternum gently up into the thumbs. Equal leaning of right hand into left. Soft shoulders, soft shoulders, soft shoulders. Just take a few rounds of breath here. If the eyes were closed, let them open. Let the head lift. Hmm. Thank you for your practice today, your presence. Thank you all for being here.